Biomes, key concepts and GATE exam focus introduction. A biome is a large, geographically distinct ecosystem with a specific climate, dominant plant types, and characteristic animal species. Biomes are shaped by climate, temperature, precipitation, and geographic features. GATE questions often focus on biome characteristics, distribution, climate patterns, and the impact of human activities. 1. Classification of biomes. Biomes are classified primarily based on climate, temperature, and precipitation, and the types of vegetation. Below are the major biomes. A terrestrial biomes, tropical rainforest. Climate, warm, high rainfall, approximately 200 to 400 cm per year, no distinct seasons. Vegetation, dense, multi-layered forest with tall trees, epiphytes, and broadleaf plants. Fauna, high biodiversity, monkeys, jaguars, birds. Location, Amazon Basin, Southeast Asia. GATE focus, importance of biodiversity, carbon storage, and energy flow in tropical forests. Savanna. Climate, warm, seasonal rainfall 500-1,200 mm per year, distinct dry season. Vegetation, grasses with scattered trees, acacia, baobab. Fauna, grazing animals, zebras, antelopes, predators, lions. Location, Africa, Australia, India. GATE focus, role of fire in savannas, species interactions. Desert. Climate, hot or cold, very low rainfall, and LT, 250 mm per year, extreme temperature fluctuations. Vegetation, sparse, drought-resistant plants, cacti, succulents. Fauna, adapted to water scarcity, camels, rodents, reptiles. Location, Sahara, Arabian Desert, Atacama, Sonoran. GATE focus, adaptations to arid environments, water conservation mechanisms in plants. Temperate forest. Climate, moderate rainfall, 750-1,500 mm per year, distinct seasons, cold winters, warm summers. Vegetation, deciduous trees, oak, maple, conifers. Fauna, deer, squirrels, birds. Location, Eastern North America, Europe, East Asia. GATE focus, deciduous forests, seasonal changes in temperature and biodiversity. Boreal forest, taiga. Climate, cold, long winters, short summers, moderate precipitation, 400-1,000 mm per year. Vegetation, coniferous trees, pine, spruce, mosses. Fauna, moose, wolves, bears, migratory birds. Location, northern Canada, Russia, Scandinavia. GATE focus, adaptations to cold climates, permafrost, tundra. Climate, extremely cold, low precipitation, and LT, 250 mm per year, long winters. Vegetation, low shrubs, grasses, lichens, mosses. Fauna, polar bears, caribou, migratory birds. Location, Arctic and Antarctic regions. GATE focus, permafrost, adaptations to cold, short growing seasons. B. Aquatic biomes. Freshwater biomes. Climate, varies, but less temperature fluctuation compared to terrestrial ecosystems. Types, lakes, rivers, ponds, wetlands. Fauna, fish, amphibians, insects, aquatic plants. GATE focus, importance of freshwater ecosystems in global water cycles, nutrient cycling. Marine biomes. Climate, temperate, varies by latitude, depth, and proximity to shore. Types, oceans, coral reefs, estuaries, coastal wetlands. Fauna, marine mammals, fish, crustaceans, coral. GATE focus, coral reef ecosystems, ocean currents, nutrient cycling in oceans. 2. Factors affecting biome distribution. Biomes are determined by the interaction of several factors. A. Climate. Temperature, the primary factor for biome distribution. Tropical biomes are found near the equator, while colder biomes occur at higher latitudes. Precipitation, influences plant growth, with more rainfall supporting forests and less supporting deserts. B. Soil type. Soil fertility and pH influence vegetation. Rich soils support diverse plant life, e.g., temperate forests, while poor soils are characteristic of deserts and tundra. C. Elevation. As elevation increases, temperature decreases, leading to similar vegetation found at higher altitudes as in different latitudes, e.g., alpine meadows. 3. Adaptations to biome conditions. Adaptations in vegetation. Water storage, cacti store water in their stems, deserts. Cold tolerance, conifers in boreal forests have needle-like leaves to prevent water loss in cold climates. Fire resistance, some savanna trees have thick bark to protect against fire. B. Adaptations in animals. Camouflage, Arctic animals have white fur to blend into the snow. Migration, birds migrate from tundra to warmer climates to avoid extreme cold. Hibernation, bears hibernate in cold regions to survive the winter months. 4. Human impact on biomes. A. Deforestation. Leads to habitat loss, particularly in tropical rainforests, contributing to species extinction and disrupting global carbon cycles. B. Desertification. Overgrazing, deforestation, and poor agricultural practices can convert fertile land into deserts, as seen in parts of Africa. C. Climate change. Alters temperature and precipitation patterns, shifting biome boundaries. For example, warming may cause the tundra to shrink and temperate forests to expand northward. D. Biodiversity loss. As human activity impacts biomes, the loss of species reduces biodiversity, destabilizing ecosystems and diminishing ecosystem services. 5. Biome distribution map. A global map can help visualize biome distribution based on climate zones and latitude. Biomes typically correlate with climatic regions. Tropical, near the equator, rainforests, savannas. Temperate, mid-latitudes, temperate forests. Polar, high latitudes, tundra, boreal forests. Practice questions. Recall. What is the characteristic vegetation of the desert biome? Answer, sparse, drought-resistant plants such as cacti and succulents. Comprehension. Why do temperate forests experience distinct seasons? Answer, temperate forests experience distinct seasons due to the Earth's axial tilt, resulting in varying levels of sunlight and temperature throughout the year. Application. If global temperatures continue to rise, what impact will this have on the tundra biome? Answer, warming will cause the tundra to shrink, with a shift towards more temperate ecosystems as vegetation types and animal species migrate northward. Analysis and synthesis. In a region experiencing deforestation and soil degradation, what biome shifts might occur? Answer, the region may shift from a tropical rainforest biome to a desert or savanna biome, due to the loss of vegetation and changes in local climate conditions, e.g., reduced precipitation. Previous year GATE questions. GATE 2023 question. Which of the following biomes is most likely to have the highest species diversity? A. Desert. B. Boreal forest. C. Tropical rainforest. D. Tundra. Answer, C. Tropical rainforest, high species diversity due to stable, warm climate and high rainfall. GATE 2022 question. Which of the following is not a characteristic of the savanna biome? A. High rainfall year-round. B. Seasonal drought. C. Scattered trees. D. Large herbivores. Answer. A. High rainfall year-round. Savannas have seasonal rainfall, not year-round. GATE 2021 question. The biome characterized by low precipitation, extreme temperatures, and sparse vegetation is A. Tropical rainforest. B. Desert. C. Temperate forest. D. Tundra. Answer. B. Desert, low precipitation and extreme temperatures. Conclusion. Understanding the biomes is crucial for GATE ecology and evolution. Focus on their characteristics, adaptations, and distribution patterns. Pay attention to the impacts of human activities and climate change on biomes, as these are common GATE topics. Study these key aspects to answer questions on biome interactions, biodiversity, and global ecosystem functions. Let me know if you'd like to continue with another topic. You said, niches. ChatGPT said, ChatGPT. Niches, key concepts in GATE exam focus introduction. In ecology, a niche refers to the role and position of an organism in its environment, including all the biotic and abiotic factors that influence it. It is not just the habitat of an organism but also its interactions with other species, its use of resources, and how it responds to environmental conditions. Understanding niches is crucial for answering questions related to species interactions, competition, resource partitioning, and ecosystem dynamics in GATE. 1. Niche definition. A niche can be broadly defined as the ecological role of an organism in the ecosystem, the environmental conditions and resources it uses to survive, grow, and reproduce, the interactions it has with other species, competition, predation, mutualism, etc. It can be divided into two major types. A fundamental niche refers to the entire range of environmental conditions and resources an organism can theoretically occupy or use in the absence of competition, predators, or other limiting factors. It is the potential niche of the organism. B. Realized niche refers to the actual niche an organism occupies when competition, predation, and other interactions are considered. The realized niche is typically smaller than the fundamental niche due to limiting factors. 2. Niche characteristics. A spatial niche. The physical space or habitat an organism occupies. Different species may share the same habitat but occupy different microhabitats, e.g., different parts of a tree. B. Trophic niche refers to the position of an organism in the food chain, i.e., whether it is a producer, herbivore, carnivore, or decomposer. Organisms with similar trophic niches may compete for food resources. C. Temporal niche. Organisms may occupy the same physical space but at different times, e.g., nocturnal versus diurnal species. Temporal partitioning helps reduce competition among species. D. Multidimensional niche. A more complex view of a niche, where multiple factors, temperature, humidity, food sources, etc., are considered to define the ecological role of an organism. The n-dimensional hypervolume concept is used to describe an organism's niche in more than 3 dimensions, where each dimension represents a resource or condition. 3. Niche partitioning. Species with similar fundamental niches may undergo niche partitioning, a process where they evolve distinct niches in order to reduce competition. This can happen in various ways. A spatial partitioning. Species may occupy different areas within the same habitat, e.g., different tree heights in a forest. B. Temporal partitioning. Species may use the same resources at different times, e.g., different feeding times in the same area. C. Resource partitioning. Species may specialize in different food types or sizes, e.g., different insect species feeding on various parts of the same plant. 4. Niche and species interactions. A. Competition. When two or more species share a similar niche, they may compete for resources such as food, space, or mates. Competitive exclusion principle states that two species cannot occupy the same niche indefinitely. One will outcompete the other and lead to its extinction or migration. Resource partitioning, as mentioned above, is one solution to reduce competition. B. Predation and herbivora. Organisms must adapt their niches to avoid predation or herbivora. For example, some prey species may evolve to occupy niches where they are less vulnerable to predators, e.g., nocturnal niches, cryptic coloration. C. Mutualism. Some species evolve niches that enable them to benefit from interactions with other species. For example, pollinators, like bees, have a niche that is dependent on flowering plants, and in turn, they help the plants reproduce. D. Parasitism. Parasites exploit the niches of their host organisms, often without killing them, but affecting their health or reproductive success. 5. Niche overlap. When two species have similar resource requirements and environmental needs, their niches overlap, leading to competition. High overlap leads to intense competition. Low overlap may lead to coexistence through niche differentiation. 6. Niche modeling and the fundamental versus realized niche. Niche modeling is a tool used by ecologists to predict the distribution of species based on environmental conditions. This is especially useful in the context of climate change and species migration. Fundamental niche is the potential range of conditions a species can tolerate. Realized niche is the actual range a species occupies, considering limiting factors such as predators, competition, and habitat disturbance. 7. Niche in ecosystem stability and succession. The concept of niche plays an important role in both ecosystem stability and ecological succession. Ecosystem stability. High diversity of species with distinct niches contributes to the stability of an ecosystem. Ecological succession. As communities progress through primary and secondary succession, species often take on different niches as they adapt to changing conditions. 8. Human impact on niche and habitat. Human activities such as deforestation, pollution, and climate change can drastically alter species' niches and force them to adapt or migrate. Changes in niche conditions, e.g., temperature, habitat destruction, can lead to shifts in species distribution and the extinction of some species. 9. Niche and invasive species. Invasive species often disrupt local niches because they do not have natural predators or competitors in the new environment. They may dominate resources and outcompete native species. Example, the European starling in North America has a similar niche to native bird species, leading to competition and displacement of native species. Practice questions. Recall. What is the difference between a fundamental niche and a realized niche? Answer. The fundamental niche is the full range of conditions an organism can potentially occupy, while the realized niche is the actual range it occupies, considering limiting factors like competition and predation. Comprehension. Why does niche partitioning reduce competition among similar species? Answer. Niche partitioning reduces competition by ensuring that species utilize different resources or occupy different habitats, thus minimizing overlap in their ecological needs. Application. In an ecosystem with limited resources, how might species evolve to avoid competitive exclusion? Answer. Species may evolve through niche differentiation, such as temporal partitioning using resources at different times or spatial partitioning occupying different microhabitats. Analysis and synthesis. If two species share the same niche but one outcompetes the other, what could be the potential outcome for the weaker species? Answer. The weaker species may experience competitive exclusion, leading to extinction in that area or a shift to a different niche where it faces less competition. Alternatively, it could undergo niche differentiation and find a new way to coexist. Previous year GATE questions. GATE 2023 question. Which of the following statements is true regarding the competitive exclusion principle? A. Two species can coexist if they have identical niches. B. Two species cannot coexist indefinitely if they share a similar niche. C. Competitive exclusion occurs only when species have different niches. D. All species in a community occupy different niches. Answer. B. Two species cannot coexist indefinitely if they share a similar niche. GATE 2022 question. Which of the following interactions between species is best described as mutualism? A. A lion hunting a zebra. B. Bees pollinating flowers. C. A parasite feeding on its host. D. Two trees competing for sunlight. Answer. B. Bees pollinating flowers. GATE 2021 question. In an ecological system, the principle of niche differentiation leads to A. Increased competition among species. B. Reduced overlap of resource use. C. Competitive exclusion. D. Increased environmental stress on species. Answer. B. Reduced overlap of resource use. Conclusion. The concept of niches is central to understanding species interactions, ecosystem dynamics, and biodiversity. GATE. Focus on the different types of niches, fundamental versus realized, niche partitioning, and the competitive exclusion principle. Study how niche theory applies to both community ecology and ecosystem stability. Practice answering questions about species interactions, niche overlaps, and human impacts on natural habitats. Let me know if you'd like to continue with another topic. You said, and habitats. ChatGPT said, ChatGPT. Habitats, key concepts in GATE exam focus introduction. In ecology, a habitat refers to the physical environment where a species lives, including the resources and conditions necessary for its survival, such as food, water, shelter, and mates. Unlike the niche, which defines an organism's role in the ecosystem, the habitat is the location or environment the organism occupies. Understanding habitats is essential for answering questions on species distribution, ecological interactions, and environmental impacts in the GATE ecology and evolution exam. 1. Definition of habitat. A habitat is the natural environment where an organism lives and includes both abiotic and biotic factors that affect the organism's life cycle, behavior, and survival. The key features of a habitat include physical conditions, temperature, humidity, light, altitude, soil type, etc. Resources, food, water, shelter, and mates necessary for reproduction. Other organisms, presence of other species that may compete, prey, or form symbiotic relationships. 2. Types of habitats. A terrestrial habitats. These habitats are land-based and can vary greatly depending on the climate and vegetation. Examples include forests, tropical rainforests, temperate forests, coniferous forests. Grasslands, tropical savannas, temperate grasslands. Deserts, hot deserts, cold deserts, with adapted flora and fauna. Tundra, cold, treeless habitats with limited vegetation. B. Aquatic habitats. These habitats are water-based and are divided into freshwater and marine environments. Examples include freshwater, rivers, lakes, ponds, wetlands, and streams. Marine, oceans, coral reefs, estuaries, and intertidal zones. C. Transitional habitats. These are habitats that occur between different ecosystems and can support species from both types. Examples include estuaries, where freshwater meets saltwater, supporting diverse species. Wetlands, marshes, swamps, and bogs that provide habitats for aquatic and terrestrial species. 3. Habitat characteristics. Abiotic factors. These are the non-living components of a habitat, including climate, temperature, precipitation, humidity, sunlight, topography, elevation, slope, and orientation of landforms, soil-water composition, soil type, pH, salinity, oxygen levels in water, etc. Light availability, amount of sunlight in a specific area, which affects plant growth and animal behavior. B. Biotic factors. These are the living components of a habitat, including flora, plants, vegetation that forms the primary producers in most ecosystems. Fauna, animals, herbivores, carnivores, omnivores, decomposers, and other animals. Microorganisms, bacteria, fungi, and other microorganisms that play vital roles in nutrient cycling and ecosystem function. 4. Habitat loss and fragmentation. Habitat loss occurs when ecosystems are destroyed or significantly altered due to human activity. Key causes include deforestation, urbanization, agricultural expansion, pollution. Climate change to habitat fragmentation. Fragmentation occurs when large habitats are divided into smaller, isolated patches, affecting the survival of species. This leads to reduced genetic diversity. Edge effects, conditions at the boundary between habitats, such as changes in temperature, humidity, and predation. Isolation, difficulty in species migration and gene flow between fragmented areas. B. Impact on species. Habitat loss and fragmentation can lead to endangerment and extinction of species, reduced resources for species that depend on large, contiguous habitats, increased competition for limited resources in smaller, fragmented areas. 5. Habitat versus niche. While habitat refers to the physical space an organism occupies, the niche is the functional role the organism plays within that habitat. The two concepts are closely related but distinct. Habitat, where an organism lives. Niche, how an organism interacts with its environment and other species within that habitat. 6. Habitat selection. Habitat selection refers to the process by which organisms choose or establish residence in specific habitats based on their needs. This can be influenced by physical factors, temperature, water availability, and light conditions. Biological factors, presence of prey or predators, availability of mates, and competition. Behavioral factors, preferences for specific microhabitats or social structures. 7. Habitat restoration and conservation. Efforts to conserve and restore habitats are crucial for protecting biodiversity. Strategies include protected areas, establishing national parks, wildlife reserves, and marine protected areas to safeguard ecosystems. Reforestation, planting trees and restoring forested areas that have been degraded. Wetland restoration, rehabilitating wetlands to improve biodiversity and water quality. Sustainable agriculture, using farming practices that conserve natural habitats and resources. 8. Human impact on habitats. Human activities, particularly industrialization and urbanization, have significant effects on habitats worldwide. Key impacts include pollution, air, water, and soil pollution degrade habitats and reduce biodiversity. Climate change alters temperature, precipitation patterns, and ecosystems, leading to habitat shifts and species displacement. Deforestation, clearing forests for agriculture, logging, or urban development leads to habitat loss. 9. Habitat and species distribution. The availability and quality of habitats play a crucial role in determining the distribution of species. Factors influencing species distribution include temperature and precipitation. These climatic factors limit the distribution of species in terrestrial habitats. Water availability, crucial for aquatic species, affecting their geographic range. Soil-water chemistry. The chemical composition of soils or water determines what species can survive in a given area. Practice questions. Recall. What is the main difference between a habitat and a niche? Answer. A habitat is a physical location where an organism lives, while a niche is the role or function that the organism plays in its environment, including its interactions with other species and the resources it uses. Comprehension. How does habitat fragmentation affect species survival? Answer. Habitat fragmentation leads to smaller, isolated populations with reduced resources, which can result in inbreeding, genetic drift, and increased competition, ultimately affecting the survival of species. Application. What could be a potential consequence of human-induced habitat destruction on a species that depends on a specific habitat for breeding? Answer. Destruction of the species' habitat could lead to reduced reproductive success or extinction if suitable breeding grounds are no longer available. Analysis and synthesis. Given the impact of climate change on habitat conditions, how might species adapt to shifts in their habitats? Answer. Species might migrate to more suitable habitats, evolve new traits to tolerate changing conditions, or undergo behavioral changes, e.g., altering their activity patterns to cope with the new environmental conditions. Previous year GATE questions. GATE 2023 question. Which of the following is not a primary cause of habitat destruction? A. Deforestation. B. Pollution. C. Biodiversity conservation. D. Urbanization. Answer. C. Biodiversity conservation. GATE 2022 question. Which of the following is an example of a terrestrial habitat? A. Coral reefs. B. Tropical rainforests. C. Wetlands. D. Mangroves. Answer. B. Tropical rainforests. GATE 2021 question. In the context of habitat loss, the edge effect refers to a. The increase in biodiversity at the boundary of two habitats. B. The reduction in biodiversity near the center of a habitat. C. The changes in environmental conditions at the boundary of two habitats. D. The migration of species from one habitat to another. Answer. C. The changes in environmental conditions at the boundary of two habitats. Conclusion. Understanding habitats and their dynamics is fundamental to the study of ecology. Focus on the differences between habitat and niche, the effects of habitat loss and fragmentation, and the influence of human activities on habitats. GATE questions on this topic may focus on the impact of habitat destruction, conservation strategies, and the ecological role of different habitats. Studying how species are adapted to their habitats and how human activities affect these ecosystems will help you answer a wide range of questions in the exam. Let me know if you'd like to proceed with more topics. You said. Population ecology, population growth rates. ChatGPT said. ChatGPT. Population ecology, population growth rates, key concepts and GATE exam focus introduction. Population ecology is a crucial subfield of ecology that studies populations of organisms, their dynamics, and how they interact with the environment. A central aspect of population ecology is understanding population growth, which is determined by various factors such as birth rates, death rates, immigration, and emigration. In the context of the GATE ecology and evolution exam, questions about population growth rates often emphasize models of population growth, factors influencing growth, and real-world applications. 1. Population growth. Basic definition. Population growth refers to the change in the size or number of individuals in a population over time. The growth of a population depends on the balance between the rate of births and deaths. If births exceed deaths, the population increases. If deaths exceed births, the population decreases. The rate at which populations grow is expressed by the population growth rate, the key factor in understanding species dynamics, species conservation, and ecological equilibrium. 2. Key factors influencing population growth rates of birth rate, natality. Birth rate is the number of births in a population over a specified period. A higher birth rate leads to faster population growth. In many populations, birth rates may be influenced by factors like resource availability, mating habits, and environmental conditions. B. Death rate, mortality. Death rate refers to the number of deaths in a population during a specific time period. A high death rate can slow or reverse population growth. Factors affecting mortality include disease, predation, environmental stress, and accidents. C. Immigration and emigration. Immigration refers to the arrival of new individuals into a population, contributing to population growth. Emigration refers to individuals leaving a population, reducing its size. 3. Types of population growth. Exponential growth. Exponential growth occurs when resources are abundant, and there are no significant environmental constraints on population size. Under these conditions, the population grows at a constant rate. The mathematical expression for exponential growth is NT equals N0 ERT. NT equals N0 ERT, where NT equals population size at time t. N0 equals initial population size R. R equals intrinsic rate of growth, birth rate minus death rate t. T equals time E. E equals Euler's number, approximately 2.718. In this model, the population size increases rapidly over time as each individual contributes to a larger and larger population. Key characteristics of exponential growth. Occurs in ideal conditions with no limiting factors. Results in J-shaped curves when plotted. Population size increases exponentially over time. B. Logistic growth. Logistic growth occurs when environmental factors such as resource availability and competition limit the population size. The growth rate slows as the population approaches the carrying capacity K. K, the maximum number of individuals the environment can support sustainably. The logistic growth equation is T equals K1 plus K minus N0 E minus RT and T equals 1 plus N0. K minus N0. E minus RT. K. Where? NT. NT equals population size at time t. TK. K equals carrying capacity N. 0 N0. Equals initial population size R. R equals intrinsic growth rate T. T equals time E. E equals Euler's number. Key characteristics of logistic growth. The population grows rapidly at first, then slows as it reaches the carrying capacity. Results in an S-shaped curve. The growth rate declines as the population approaches the carrying capacity. See overshoot and dieback. Overshoot occurs when the population exceeds the carrying capacity due to temporary abundance of resources. Dieback follows overshoot, where the population crashes as the resources become depleted and the environment cannot support the excess individuals. 4. Factors limiting population growth. Density-dependent factors. Density-dependent factors are factors that become more intense as the population size increases. These factors limit population growth by increasing competition for resources. Examples include food availability, predation, disease space, waste accumulation. As the population size increases, the effects of these factors intensify, slowing or halting population growth. B. Density-independent factors. Density-independent factors affect populations regardless of their size. These factors include climate change, natural disasters e.g., hurricanes, floods, fires, pollution, human interference e.g., deforestation, pollution. These factors can drastically reduce populations, but their effects are not dependent on the population's density. 5. Life history strategies and population growth. Species exhibit different life history strategies that influence their population growth. These strategies are generally categorized as R strategy or K strategy. AR strategy. R strategies for species that reproduce quickly and produce many offspring. They typically thrive in environments where resources are abundant, but they have high mortality rates and short lifespans. Examples: insects, fish, and annual plants. Population growth, typically exponential in ideal conditions. K strategy. K strategies for species that produce fewer offspring but invest more in parental care. They thrive in stable environments where competition for resources is high. Examples: elephants, humans, and large mammals. Population growth follows a logistic growth pattern, with populations near the carrying capacity. 6. Real-world examples and applications of population growth models of human population growth. Human populations exhibit logistic growth due to the limitations imposed by resources, space, and environmental conditions. While human population growth has been exponential in the past century due to advancements in medicine, agriculture, and technology, sustainability issues and environmental constraints are likely to push human populations closer to the carrying capacity in the future. B. Invasive species. Invasive species often experience exponential growth in new environments due to the lack of natural predators or competitors. However, as the population increases, resources become limited, and the species may experience a crash, leading to a dieback. C. Conservation biology. Understanding population growth rates is crucial for the conservation of endangered species. For example, the growth of small populations in conservation areas may be limited by inbreeding, genetic drift, and the availability of mates. Researchers use models of population growth to predict the success of conservation efforts and the minimum viable population size necessary for species survival. 7. Practice questions. Recall. What is the key difference between exponential growth and logistic growth in populations? Answer. Exponential growth occurs under ideal conditions with no limitations, leading to rapid, unchecked population growth, while logistic growth accounts for limitations in resources and space, leading to a slower growth as the population approaches carrying capacity. Comprehension. How does density-dependent regulation affect population growth? Answer. Density-dependent regulation slows population growth as the population size increases due to increased competition for resources, predation, disease, and other limiting factors. Application. The population is growing exponentially with an intrinsic growth rate of 0.1 per year and an initial population size of 500. What will be the population size after 5 years? Answer. Using the exponential growth formula. N. T equals N0 ERT. NT equals N0. ERT, N5 equals 500. Operator E, 0.1. Operator 5 equals 500. Operator E 0.5 approximately equals 500. Operator 1.6487 approximately equals 824.35. N5 equals 500. Operator E, 0.1. Operator 5 equals 500. Operator E 0.5 approximately equals 500. Operator 1.6487 approximately equals 824.35. Thus, the population size after 5 years is approximately 824 individuals. Analysis and synthesis. How might an invasive species experience exponential growth in a new environment? What factors could eventually limit this growth? Answer. An invasive species may experience exponential growth in a new environment due to the lack of natural predators, competitors, and disease. However, as the population increases, competition for resources, the buildup of waste products, and the emergence of new predators or disease could eventually limit growth. Previous year GATE questions. GATE 2023 question. The intrinsic rate of increase R in a population is highest when A. Birth rate is low and death rate is high. B. Birth rate is high and death rate is low. C. Birth rate equals death rate. D. Immigration rate exceeds emigration rate. Answer. B. Birth rate is high and death rate is low. GATE 2021 question. Which of the following factors is density dependent? A. Natural disasters. B. Temperature. C. Predation. D. Solar radiation. Answer. C. Predation. Conclusion. Population growth rates are a fundamental concept in population ecology, crucial for understanding species dynamics, conservation, and ecological interactions. GATE questions on this topic often test knowledge of population models, growth rate calculations, and factors influencing growth. Focus on understanding exponential and logistic growth, life history strategies, and real-world examples of population growth in both natural and human influence environments. Let me know if you'd like to move on to the next topic. You said, density-dependent. ChatGPT said, ChatGPT. Density-dependent factors in population ecology, key concepts in GATE exam focus introduction. In population ecology, density-dependent factors refer to variables that affect population growth in ways that are influenced by the population's density, the number of individuals in a given area. These factors typically intensify as the population size increases. They are crucial in regulating population sizes and maintaining ecological balance. In the context of the GATE Ecology and Evolution exam, questions about density-dependent factors focus on how they influence population dynamics, examples of such factors, and their roles in population regulation. 1. Definition of density-dependent factors. Density-dependent factors are those that become more significant as the population density increases. These factors cause negative feedback on population growth, reducing the growth rate or causing population size to stabilize. They are often related to resource availability, competition, predation, disease, and intraspecific competition. 2. Key density-dependent factors. A. Competition. Intraspecific competition refers to competition among individuals of the same species for limited resources: food, water, shelter, mates. As the population density increases, the demand for these resources also increases, which leads to a decrease in individual fitness and reproductive success. Interference competition can also occur, where individuals directly hinder others' access to resources, e.g., territorial behavior. B. Predation. In areas with higher population densities, predators may have easier access to prey. As prey populations increase, predator populations can also increase, further reducing the prey population size. This feedback loop is an example of density-dependent regulation, where both predator and prey populations are controlled by each other's density. C. Disease and parasites. Disease transmission often increases in crowded populations because pathogens can spread more easily from one individual to another when they are in close proximity. High population densities also provide more hosts for parasites, leading to higher infection rates and potential mortality. In addition to direct mortality, diseases may cause reduced reproduction rates, contributing to a decrease in population size. D. Stress and behavioral changes. As populations grow and individuals are forced into closer quarters, stress can increase. This can lead to reduced reproductive rates, abnormal behavior, and lower survival rates. In some species, stress-induced behaviors such as aggression or the avoidance of certain areas can disrupt the social structure and reduce fitness. E. Food and resource availability. The availability of food and shelter is often the primary limiting factor. As population density increases, food becomes scarcer, and individuals must compete for it. If resources are insufficient to support the population, the growth rate will slow, and mortality may increase. In some cases, resource depletion can lead to starvation and mortality. 3. Effects of density-dependent factors on population growth. Density-dependent factors led to a negative feedback loop that regulates population size. The higher the population density, the more intense these factors become, eventually slowing or halting population growth. Over time, density-dependent regulation can lead to the stabilization of population size near the carrying capacity K. K of the environment. At low densities, resources are abundant, and populations can grow exponentially. At moderate densities, competition for resources increases, and other density-dependent factors such as predation or disease may become more prominent. At high densities, the full impact of density-dependent factors is felt, which may cause population growth to level off or even result in a decline in numbers. 4. The role of density-dependent factors in population regulation. Population regulation involves maintaining a stable population size over time, often near the environment's carrying capacity K. K density-dependent factors play a central role in this process by limiting population growth through increased mortality or reduced fertility as population density rises. This regulation prevents populations from growing uncontrollably and ensures the sustainability of both the population and the ecosystem. 5. Real-world examples of density-dependent factors. A. Insects. Insects often exhibit dramatic population fluctuations in response to density-dependent factors. For example, the gypsy moth Lymantria dispar undergoes population booms followed by crashes, driven by factors like food competition, predation, and disease. B. Human populations. In urban areas, density-dependent factors like competition for housing, disease transmission, and resource limitations play significant roles in regulating population growth. The spread of infectious diseases, such as COVID-19, can also be considered a density-dependent factor, where higher population density increases the likelihood of transmission. C. Wildlife. In wildlife populations, such as deer, density-dependent factors like food competition and predation often regulate population size. When populations become too dense, resources like vegetation may become insufficient, leading to starvation and reduced reproductive success. D. Disease in wild populations. For example, the myxoma virus introduced to control the rabbit population in Australia became more effective as population density increased. The virus spread rapidly in dense rabbit populations, dramatically reducing their numbers. 6. Mathematical modeling of density-dependent growth. The logistic growth model is commonly used to describe the dynamics of populations regulated by density-dependent factors. The equation for logistic growth is Nt equals K1 plus K minus N0 N0 E minus RT Nt equals 1 plus N0. K minus N0. E minus RT. K. Where Nt equals population size at time t. Tk. K equals carrying capacity N. 0 N0. Equals initial population size R. R equals intrinsic growth rate T. T equals time E. E equals Euler's number, approximately 2.718, as the population approaches the carrying capacity K. K. Density-dependent factors begin to slow growth, and the population size stabilizes. 7. Practice questions. Recall. What are density-dependent factors? Answer. Density-dependent factors are those that become more intense as the population density increases, regulating population growth through factors like competition, predation, disease, and resource availability. Comprehension. How do competition and predation act as density-dependent factors in regulating population growth? Answer. Competition increases as population density rises, leading to a scarcity of resources, which reduces individual fitness and slows population growth. Predation becomes more intense in denser populations, as predators have easier access to prey, leading to increased mortality in the prey population. Application. A population of rabbits is growing in an area with abundant food and no predators. How might density-dependent factors come into play as the population increases? Answer. As the rabbit population grows, resources e.g., food may become scarce, leading to competition among individuals. This could result in reduced birth rates and increased mortality due to resource limitations. Additionally, if predator populations increase, predation will further limit rabbit numbers. Analysis and synthesis. How would density-dependent factors affect the management of invasive species in a new environment? Answer. Initially, an invasive species may experience exponential growth due to the absence of natural predators or competitors. However, as the population density increases, competition for resources and increased disease transmission will act as density-dependent factors, slowing the growth of the invasive population. Understanding these factors can help in designing effective management strategies, such as reducing resources available to the invasive species or introducing natural predators. 8. Previous year GATE questions. GATE 2022 question. Which of the following is not a density-dependent factor in population regulation? A. Disease. B. Competition. C. Predation. D. Climate. Answer. D. Climate. GATE 2020 question. In a population, as the density increases, the competition for resources leads to A. Increased growth rate. B. Decreased mortality. C. Decreased growth rate. D. Stabilized population size. Answer. C. Decreased growth rate. Conclusion. Density-dependent factors are crucial for understanding how populations are regulated in nature. They include competition, predation, disease, and resource availability. These factors work together to control population sizes and prevent overpopulation, which is essential for maintaining ecological balance. GATE questions on this topic often test your understanding of these factors and their effects on population dynamics. Make sure to grasp the mathematical models and real-world examples to strengthen your grasp of density-dependent regulation. Let me know if you need further clarification or if you'd like to move to the next topic. You said, independent. ChatGPT said, ChatGPT. Density-independent factors in population ecology, key concepts in GATE exam focus introduction. In population ecology, density-independent factors are variables that impact population growth regardless of the population's density. These factors affect all individuals in the population equally, irrespective of how many or few individuals there are in a given area. They are primarily abiotic in nature and can cause significant changes in population size, especially in short periods of time. GATE questions often focus on understanding how these factors operate and their effects on population dynamics, alongside their differences from density-dependent factors. 1. Definition of density-independent factors. Density-independent factors are those environmental factors that affect a population size and growth rate irrespective of the population density. Unlike density-dependent factors, their impact does not vary with the number of individuals present in a population. These factors tend to be abiotic, such as climatic or weather events, and can cause a population to decrease or fluctuate regardless of how large or small the population is. 2. Key density-independent factors of climate and weather events. Temperature extremes, such as heat waves or freezing conditions, can dramatically affect species survival. These conditions may cause the death of individuals irrespective of population density. Droughts, floods, and heavy rainfall can impact the availability of resources like water and food. For example, droughts can cause crop failures and loss of habitats for many organisms, while floods can disrupt ecosystems. Natural disasters such as hurricanes, wildfires, and earthquakes can rapidly reduce populations without regard to how many individuals there are in a given area. These events tend to have a catastrophic effect, and individuals of all densities are affected equally. B. Pollution. Pollution, such as air, water, or soil pollution, can drastically reduce the health of ecosystems and affect all organisms in a population, irrespective of its density. Pesticides, heavy metals, and other toxins can poison individuals, reducing population numbers without considering how many individuals are present. C. Human activity. Deforestation, habitat destruction, and urbanization can eliminate or degrade habitats, leading to population declines for various species. Such actions do not depend on the density of individuals in a population and affect entire populations equally. Introduction of invasive species or overhunting can also severely affect native populations regardless of their density. For example, overhunting a species will reduce its population, whether it is at a high or low density. D. Catastrophic environmental events. Events like volcanic eruptions, tsunamis, and asteroid impacts can decimate entire ecosystems, killing individuals without regard for their population size. These events can lead to a sudden reduction in population size. 3. Effects of density-independent factors on population growth. Unlike density-dependent factors, which regulate population growth based on population size, density-independent factors can cause significant fluctuations in population size regardless of how many individuals are present. They typically decrease population size through direct mortality, habitat destruction, or resource depletion. The effect of these factors is typically unpredictable and can lead to population crashes or extinctions. At low population densities, density-independent factors may have less impact, but they can still cause major population disruptions, e.g., natural disasters. At high population densities, these factors may still be significant and may lead to a sharp decline in population, especially if the environment becomes unsuitable, e.g., an extreme weather event, pollution. While density-dependent factors act as regulators of population size over time, density-independent factors often cause sudden fluctuations or declines that are difficult to predict or control. 4. Differences between density-dependent and density-independent factors feature density-dependent factors. Density-independent factors' effect on population varies with population density affects all individuals equally, regardless of density. Nature of factors biotic, e.g., competition, predation, abiotic, e.g., climate, natural disasters. Population regulation regulates population size based on available resources, does not regulate population size, causes sudden changes. Impact over time. Gradual, stabilizing effect. Sudden. Catastrophic events that can cause drastic changes. Examples: competition, disease, predation, weather extremes, natural disasters, pollution. 5. Real-world examples of density-independent factors of climate-related events. Hurricanes. Hurricanes can devastate ecosystems, flooding areas and killing both plants and animals. These events reduce populations regardless of the population density, causing immediate mortality across all individuals in affected areas. Droughts. Prolonged droughts can lead to food and water shortages, affecting species without regard to their population density. In drought conditions, animals may die from starvation or dehydration, and plant species may fail to reproduce or survive. B. Pollution. Air pollution in the form of smog can affect animal populations, leading to respiratory problems, especially in cities. Pollutants can enter water bodies, affecting aquatic life, regardless of how many fish or plants are in the population. Oil spills. Oil spills can devastate marine ecosystems, killing fish and birds, irrespective of the population size. C. Human activities. Urbanization. Expansion of human settlements can lead to the destruction of habitats, reducing biodiversity. Whether a species has a high or low population density, urban sprawl affects its survival. Overhunting. Overhunting leads to population declines, and it does not depend on the current density of a species. For example, overhunting of elephants for ivory can reduce their numbers significantly, regardless of their population size. D. Natural disasters. Volcanic eruptions can destroy forests and surrounding ecosystems. These events kill organisms instantly without any regard for population density, causing a sudden population decrease. Tsunamis can wipe out entire coastal populations, from plants to animals, without consideration for how many individuals are present in the population. 6. Mathematical modeling of density-independent growth. Density-independent factors are often incorporated into models that consider the impact of abiotic factors on population size. The exponential growth model is often used to describe how populations grow without any regulatory factors, including density-independent ones. The equation for exponential growth is nt equals n0 ERT. nt equals n0 ERT, where nt equals population size at time t. N0 equals initial population size r. R equals intrinsic growth rate t. T equals time e. E equals Euler's number, approximately 2.718. While this model does not directly account for density-independent factors, these factors can dramatically alter the growth rate r, leading to population declines or fluctuations. 7. Practice questions. Recall. What are density-independent factors in population ecology? Answer. Density-independent factors are environmental variables that impact population growth and size, regardless of the population's density. These factors include weather events, pollution, and natural disasters. Comprehension. How do climatic events act as density-independent factors? How do climatic events act as density-independent factors in regulating population growth? Answer. Climatic events like droughts, heat waves, and cold spells affect all individuals in a population, irrespective of the population size. These events can result in mass mortality, food shortages, and habitat loss, leading to a decrease in population size. Application. Given a population of amphibians in a region prone to seasonal flooding, how might density-independent factors influence the population during a flood event? Answer. During a flood, the entire amphibian population, regardless of its size, could be affected. The flood could wash away habitats, drown individuals, or cause the loss of food resources, leading to a sudden decrease in population size. Analysis and synthesis. In an area with both high human population density and environmental changes, e.g., industrial pollution, what impact would density-independent factors have on local wildlife populations? Answer. Density-independent factors, such as pollution and habitat destruction, would harm wildlife populations irrespective of their density. For example, air or water pollution could lead to widespread mortality, and habitat destruction could make it difficult for wildlife to find shelter or food, reducing their populations quickly. 8. Previous year GATE questions. GATE 2023 question. Which of the following is a density-independent factor? A. Disease transmission. B. Predation pressure. C. Temperature extremes. D. Competition for resources. Answer. C. Temperature extremes. GATE 2021 question. Why?